Okay, so today I'll be talking about the member portal, which is the secure area on your website where members can log in. And depending on your setup, they can update their details, they can make a booking, they can make a tea booking, they could be looking at a business directory or a member search. It's going to depend on what you've been set up for, what you're going to be using. So some of this information will apply to you and some of it won't. So the Venue Manager, for those of you who already have Venue Manager credentials, that's great. It's the https:// venuemanager.micropower.com.au, and you need to put in your username and password. Anybody who doesn't have it, I'll be sending out emails as soon as we finish the webinar to make sure that you'll be able to go in and start setting up your member portal how you'd like it to be. Now this is the URL that you'll be using, so don't be checking out the one I'm using because I'm using our test data. Okay, it looks and feels the same, it's just got a couple of extra options. So we log in, and when you log into Venue Manager, what you'll see is just the member portal. Drop down box here. You won't see any of the rest of this. That's just for me. You'll see your account and you'll log off. Okay, so the first thing that I'm also going to do is bring up a second tab with my member portal so that while I'm in the Venue Manager tab, I can be making changes. I can have a second tab open with my member portal. I can see what my changes are doing to that member portal. Now your portal will be something like https://portalpreview.micropower.com.au, and you can see here I've got Bayview Golf Club. It could be Golden Creek Golf Club, XYZ Golf Club, XYZ Club. I'll provide that in the email as well. Again, don't be looking at my URL here. This is our test portal. So the first page that the member will see is the sign-in page. Now this page here, we can add a logo at the top and a welcome message. And we can do that in the Venue Manager under the member portal drop-down box and the log on page. So we can add a logo, and to do that we just click on select logo and go and select wherever your logo is. If your logo is too big, the system will tell you. Okay, so you can see my splendid logo just there. You don't need to save the logo. And then what you can do is go to your other tab that you've got open. And you can refresh that page. Okay. Now what should be showing here is my logo. So if you get something that comes up with like mine has here, just let us know, because there's something that's not quite right. But you can see that's where the logo would go, above the sign in. We can also add some welcome text. Okay, so you can make a little bit bold. You can put it into the center, make it a little larger if you want to. Below there, there's a save text. So while you don't need to save the logo, you do need to save the welcome text. Then we can go back to our real member portal and refresh. And now we can see the welcome text just here. Okay, so that's how we can add a logo and put some welcome text. Now the next thing that will happen is that the member will attempt to log in. Now if you're coming from our older Club Link style, we may need to review what they're currently logging in as. With the new member portal, it must be a unique login, and what we're using is either the member number, the alpha code, or the alternate member number. So you can choose between those three. It can't be anything non-unique, like an email address or anything like that. So we may need to review what your members were logging in as and make sure that it is a correct, unique identifier. The passwords will remain the same. So if you're coming from our existing Micropower database, it's in the Settings tab on the members, and the password will remain the same. The login comes from the main details page, and it's the first three fields: alpha code, member number, alt member number. There is a forgot password down the bottom of the sign-in screen. What happens with that is if the member clicks forgot password, it will use the identifier, member number, alt member number, or alpha code, and it will send them an email. If they don't have an email address, nothing will happen. They'll need to call you, and you'll need to change it for them and advise them what it is. Okay, so now we're ready to sign in. Okay, so when we first are building a member portal, all of the menu options at the top here, so Home, Loyalty Ledger, My Profile, My Accounts, etc., they're all blank, as are the tiles down in the lower half of the screen. So all these boxes here, what we call the dashboard tiles. To manage those, again, back in Venue Manager, under Member Portal, we've got Dashboard. Okay, so these are all blank. And what you'll do is you'll add new items. Now, when I first set up a member portal for everyone, usually I do put a couple of menu options and a couple of tiles on there so that you can see what it's going to look like. We add a new item. We give it a name, for example, weather, because I'm going to make a weather tile. And then we choose from all of the options here. So details is member details, or what's called My Profile. Directory is member directory, so a member search. Loyalty is loyalty points. You may have loyalty in the Micropower system, which we can set up through here. If you have your loyalty points with a gaming provider, we'll need to have a discussion because it's a different setup. Events is club events, if you have our club events module. My events is if the member has made a booking through club events, there will be a tile in the future that will show those bookings. My tea times, if you're a golf club and a member has made some tea bookings, there'll be a tile that shows all the tea bookings. Digital member card, which I'll show you once we get a little bit further in, but a digital member card is the ability for the member to have their member card on their phone. Business directory, if you allow your members to add in their own businesses, including a website. My handicap, if you're a golf club, that will take you off to the handicap lookup website. Club file and club page go together. So we can add a club page, for example, newsletters or club-specific documents, which might be a constitution, it could be trading hours, anything that you want to add to that. So the club page comes first, and then we add the club files to those club pages, which I'll be showing you today. External website. So I'm going to use that now as the new dashboard tile. I'm going to go off to the BOM website and get a radar URL and pop that onto my test member portal. Buying Club demo. Well, the Buying Club is a module within Micropower where you can have external companies and you can use loyalty points to buy from those companies. And if you want further information on that, you have a chat with your account manager. Not sure who that is, just let us know and we can point you to them. Dynamic content, that's exactly what it says it is, and I'll go through that. So it's a box where you could put practically anything in there. And merchant offer is a new one to do with the Buying Club. I'm going to do the external website. Okay. So that's the name of my tile, weather. External URL. I'm just going to go off to, so you can see it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a weather one. It's just a common one that I do. So I just copy the URL, go back to the venue manager, put that into the external URL. You can put a description in, and I will so that you can see. You can open this tile in a new window, and you can put a background image. I'll leave it blank at the moment, but if you wanted to put a weather image behind this particular tile, you can. You can see the size there, 260 by 200. So it's browse, similar to what we did with the logo. Go and find where you've saved it, and if you want to remove it, you can and replace it. So let's save that. That will create a new tile, and to see what it's going to look like, we can go back to our member portal and just refresh. Now you can refresh a couple of different ways. You can either reload the page, or you can just click on home. Okay, so now you can see the name and you can see where the description comes in. Now when we click on the weather, that should open in a new page, which it has done. Now if we wanted to remove any of these tiles, we can just delete or edit any of the existing tiles. If we wanted to change that from the 128 loop to the 64, we can just go back and we can get a new URL, copy that and paste it into here. You can move these around. Be gentle with this. So if I want to move the weather and replace it with where member search was, okay, that will swap that over. Again, coming backwards and forwards and checking out what it looks like, we can now see that we've moved. One thing to note is there are a couple of tiles on here that are for display only. It's these two here with our jack and our what's on and the messages. The message tile at the moment is not working, so you won't see it in your options. Okay, the next thing that a member will do is they'll either check their profile or their accounts. Their profile can be checked either from the menu option at the top here or from the tile. Doesn't matter which one they click on, they're going to go to the same place. When you're first setting up the member portal, these identification details or profile details are blank. So what you'll have is you'll have some ID details here, you'll have some member search details in the middle, and some other details at the bottom. So you can see that they're blank. I've left them purposefully blank so that we can work on them now. So we'll go back into Venue Manager, and under the Member Portal drop-down, we'll go to Profile Layout. Okay, we have two tabs here. We have a member directory and a member details. When you're working in this area, only work on one tab at a time. If you're updating the member directory search fields, only work in there and update regularly. If you're updating the member details, which we're going to be, only work in there. What happens is that they are quite different areas of the website. So for example, I'm in my profile here. The member search is up here. It's quite different. And the system can get a little confused if we're going backwards and forwards and clicking update. Sometimes it will lose some of the fields. Now all of the profile fields available are on your left-hand side. These come from your membership system. One of the things that I must make very clear is that at this point in time, they do not have read-only access on here. So that means if we bring across one of these fields, say for example we bring across Financial 2. So it's a matter of clicking and dragging. If we bring across Financial 2, it is possible for the member to update that field. Now, the club is responsible for vetting all of the updates that members make, but we all know that you can get busy, and if we were looking at some of the details that the member updated down in the club, it would be easy to miss a change and perhaps update that Financial 2. So be careful with the information that you bring across, that you allow the members to update. By all means, bring across that field, but when you're doing your daily updates back at the club, just make sure whoever's doing it is being quite careful in vetting the details that the member wants to change. So as I was saying before, all we need to do is just pick up and drop. Now the identification details box here relates to these details here. There is no hard and fast rules about what information you put in the identification details versus what you put in the other details. Completely up to you. And these boxes will just get bigger as you add more information. Now the directory fields here, while you're in member details, you can still see the directory fields, but you can't put anything into there, because that comes from the member directory or the member search. Now the member search is where members can go in and look up other members, and you as the club can opt to have those member search fields always show or allow the members to keep their details private. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So in the identification details, we bring across all the fields that we want, and in the other details down below we could put in things like our emails and our emergency contact, anything you want to put in there. Just update frequently down the bottom here. Okay, you'll see the green member details layout updated. Now if you're using the Micropower Omnis database at the moment, one of the things to be aware of is how your membership address details work. So when you go into a member details record, on the address fields on the right hand side, you have 3 tabs. You have a mailing tab, an address to tab, and an address 3 tab. Now the mailing is made up of these fields just here: address 1, address 2, address 3, suburb, state, postcode, and country. The address 2 is 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A. Address 3 is 1B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B. Be careful with that one, because if you, for example, put over to the right hand side here, address 1A, 1B, address 1, 1A, 1B, it's picking from different areas of those 3 address fields. Happy to go through this with anyone if that's a little bit confusing. Okay, so once we've updated those fields, go back to Member Portal. You'll hear me say that a lot. Refresh the screen and just make sure that all your fields have come across. So now you can see we've added the email field, the postcode and the country field. We've got email and we've got emergency down here. Now if you're going to allow the members to do a member search, Refresh that screen and it brings us back to the member directory. Now in the member search, I've brought across here full name. You don't have to have full name, you can have first name and surname, but I've used first name and surname in the member details. Now the full name they can't edit in this particular member search area, but we might want to have their mobile displaying, and maybe their phone, maybe their email address. Just depends what you want to show on the member search. And you can see this little lock here down the bottom. You can see members can keep this private or will always be shown. So what that means is that if you leave the lock open, you're allowing the member to keep their mobile and phone hidden, so all that would show up in a search is their name. If you wanted to make sure that they did show the mobile and the phone, regardless of what the member wants, you lock it. And all I did there was clicked on the actual lock. Okay, and I update. If I go back to the venue manager now, and I click on member search, that's through the menu option. You can also, on the home page, there's a member search as a dashboard tile. Okay, so if I look up a member, no Smiths. Okay, they can put a picture in of their own if they'd like to. That brings back the name, and in the show details, mobile and phone. Now, if I had made that, if I had locked that, just back in the venue manager, and I'll update, if the member has a mobile and a phone, and I refresh and look up again, those details are returned. So if they have those. And members can be bookmarked. So if members have friends that they'd like to keep their details on hand, they can bookmark and it will show in this area here. That is different to being a friend with the T-bookings. So if we go back to the My Profile fields, so now we can see in the directory details that we can see those phone and mobile. So if a member's updating their details, they can come into any of these fields, add the information, and there's a Save All Changes button. When they click Save All Changes, a message will appear at the top of the screen to say that their details won't change or won't show as being changed until they've been approved by the club. Now I'm just going to open up my Micropower and show an example in Micropower of what approved by the club means. So in membership, in Internet, there is a View and Save Member Changes. So when you click in there, all of the records that have been changed will be shown at the top half of this screen. And as you click onto all of the records, the information that's been changed will show in the bottom half of the screen. I do have a document that outlines exactly how to do that, which I will attach to the email I'll send you with your login details for the venue manager and the member portal. As I was saying before, with the member search where it had the avatar, that's from the profile picture here. The member can change a picture and remove a picture. That picture does not flow back into your membership. It has been put forth as an idea for the development team to review, but at this point in time, the picture does not flow back to the membership system. This is also where the member can change their password. So they can change their password and they'll be asked to put in their old password to add a new password. That will automatically flow through back to your membership system. It's only the password that automatically flows back through, and using the Micropower membership system as an example. That's held under the Settings tab here. So if you used our older membership system, this used the login and the password as the credentials from the Settings tab here. With the new member portal, it uses the main, these three here, alpha, member number, alt member number, but it still uses the password setting in the Settings tab. We don't need to upload anymore, and it doesn't look at these current statuses. So when you move from ClubLink to the member portal, you won't need to worry about doing uploads or anything like that. Okay, so the next thing that they may check is their My Accounts. So there's a My Accounts menu option at the top. Okay. Now we have two ways of setting up the My Accounts. The way that you're seeing on the screen right now, I have actually manipulated it to look like that. By default, it will show just two lines, house account, subs account, and it won't have any of the account name or the due now or the due now 30 days, etc. So it's up to you. In the venue manager, under account balance, now this does look busy, but I can help anybody with it. When you first come into this screen, all of this here is blank, and by default, if you left everything in here blank, the My Accounts would just return, say you had two account types, house and subs, would just return those two lines, and you wouldn't have to do anything. But we've recently added the ability to set it up differently, because not everyone wants to see 30, 60, 90 days. Some people may just want to see due now and overdue, or they might want to see due now, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So this can be set up however you'd like it to be. Don't be concerned about the words debit and credit. We had to pick something. And you can see underneath here, rename category name. So that credit is my house account, and the debit is my subs account. We could have called it A and B. We could have called it, ants and apples. We've just stuck with debit and credit. So you can see when you go back into My Accounts that it doesn't say debit and credit. It says house account and subs account. That comes from just here, house account, and I've renamed my debit to my subs account. But as I say, you don't need to do anything and it will still show the account names. It's only if you want to change what you see by default. We can display an overall total, and we can change the totals, the labels for the totals. Okay. We can allow payment of specific accounts. If we're going to allow payments to certain accounts, we may have a house account and a subs account. We only want to show the house for display purposes, but we want the members to pay their subs. That's where allow payment of specific accounts comes into it. And we can also just include certain accounts in the balance total. What we mean by that is if, say for example, we had $1,000 in credit for the house and $1,000 in debit for the subs, $900, we would actually have a total of negative $100, but that's not what they owe. They owe the $900 in subs. That's where we can tell the system what to include in the balance total, so that the member knows that even though they've got $1,000 in credit on the house, they still owe $900 in subs. If you're wanting to add payments, that's under Member Portal and Payment Options. The new Member Portal uses we can choose from 3 different payment gateways. either PayPal Business, Secure Pay, and Payment Express. Now, those three gateways require an internet merchant account from your bank. Once you've set that up, you'll get an MID, a merchant ID. That can then be used to set up one of those three gateways. All of this information about the gateways I'll pop into the email. The only thing that I'll say about the gateways is to obviously have a look at the different pricing structures. But the Payment Express gateway, the Payment Express only supports a single surcharge for all cards. What that means is if you have Visa, MasterCard and Amex and you want to charge 1% for Visa and MasterCard and 2% for Amex, you can't do it with Payment Express. Also, if you are using our Club Events module and you already have a payment gateway, you can use that for the payment gateway for the member portal. If you are going to use our Club Events module in the future, you'll need to choose between either Secure Pay or Payment Express. You can ask me any questions about this as well. This is where we configure who the notification gets sent to when a payment is made, and we normally tick this information in, notify venue, etc. of the payments. A lot of the information I'm talking about today is also on the Micropower Self-Help Centre in smaller chunks. For example, how to add your payment gateway to the payment configuration screen here is a short demonstration video on the Micropower Self-Help Centre under the member portal box. This is also where we add what cards we're configuring. What I did there was clicked into that box, a drop down came up. I'm telling the system whether I'm enabling card surcharges, and if I am, down the bottom here, is it a flat charge or a percentage charge? If payments are installed, we'll have a Make Payment button at the right-hand side. Now, one of the common questions when setting up a payment gateway is about compliance, PCI compliance. We, Micropower, do not have anything to do with the payment gateway side of it. So the PCI compliance comes from the payment gateway, such as PayPal, Secure Pay, or Payment Express. So what's happening is that the member is on the Micropower member portal up to the point where we click payment. Then the payment gateway kicks in. They go through and check that it's the right credentials, the right credit card details, there's enough money. Then an approval or a decline message comes back. So Micropower and the club never have access to any of the credit card details. Okay, enough about payments. Back into Venue Manager. The other portion, there's three bits about the payments, about the account statements. If we go back into account statement, these are the columns that the member will see when they go into their My Accounts and they click on to the account to have a look at the transactions. So our first page here is a summary page. Now we can see all the transactions. And I'll just return to My Accounts. I'll go into the subs account. Okay. So this heading across the top, date, reference, description, net, GST, total, and balance, can be managed by you under the Venue Manager. So we're in Member Portal and Account Statement. By default, all of the headings show. We can take those out. So we might just want date, details, we might just want GST and total. So if we update those, and what I'm doing there is just clicking into the field, and it automatically brings up the tabs that are available to add in. Just click update and go back to our member portal, and we can refresh. Go back into my accounts. Click on the account. And now you can see we've only got the 4. Okay, next thing I'm going to talk about is a business directory. Now, if you already have a business directory and we need to transfer that across, that's something that we'll need to discuss with you. If you don't have a business listing and you would like your members to be able to put their business information onto the secure portal, what we'll need to do first is set up some business categories. Once the business categories are set up, the member will then be able to go into the business listing. So I'm back on the member portal here, into the business directory, and if there are any, the business listings will show, or we can click into My Business here and add new business. Okay, so title, website, description, what category. So we need to set up the categories first, and then all the information, and submit that. If you don't want the business directory to be part of the member portal, that's fine, we can remove that. Okay, customize styling. So I'm back on the venue manager and under customize styling. What your web developer can do is, when we're on the member portal here, this is the stock standard member portal. So this is what you'll receive straight out of the box. And if you have a web developer who would like to put a style sheet across this and maybe change the font, change the colors, anything like that, we can certainly do that. And we've got information for web developers, which I'll include in the email that I'll send out. And so you can go from a stock standard member portal, as it is what you're seeing right now, and place that on your website. You can put a club style sheet across it, or your web developer can actually develop a member portal from scratch using our API. So all of that information will be available, and any questions on that, please ask. Totally happy to help out with that. The only thing that I will say about the style sheet is it needs to be in the form of club.css. So what will happen is that the web developer will develop the style sheet, they'll give that to you, you'll come into the venue manager, into customize styling, and you'll select the club.css file, pop that in here, and then that will put the style sheet across the member portal. Now the next thing I want to talk about is putting on your own club pages. So if you wanted to add a club page for newsletters, the way to do that is in the venue manager, in the member portal, go to club pages and set up a page first. So I'm going to add a new page. I'm going to call it newsletters. That's all I need to do for the moment. And I either link it to the dashboard, so it'll be a dashboard tile, or I'll link it to the menu, or both. So if I click link to the dashboard, it's going to come up and ask me what do I want to call it. I'm going to call it newsletters. I'm going to put description so that you can see what the newsletters and description look like on the tile. I want it to open in a new tab, and then I save. So now if I go back to my member portal and I refresh the screen, I've now got a new dashboard tile called Newsletters, so you can see the heading and you can see where the description shows. But if I was to click on that, nothing's going to happen. It's going to open up my new page nicely, but I've got no newsletters. So this is where we come in, back into the Venue Manager, and we add club content to that page. New content. Now the new content can be a file upload, which I'm about to do, or it could be custom content. So the custom content is you putting your own custom content. So you could have a page of your trading hours, for example, and you could come in here and you could type all of your trading hours. I'm going to do my February newsletter. Don't think that's quite how you spell it, February newsletter. Now what the tags are all about is a way of grouping information together so that we can put it under a club page. Now using newsletters as an example, I would recommend, if I'm going to create a tag for this February newsletter, I'd call it something like Feb 17 or Feb 2017. Don't create a tag called newsletters and tag everything as a newsletter, because that means that as the content gets old, you can't come in and remove just the Feb 17 tag. So you can't go in and just remove February 17 because you've tagged everything as newsletters. That's why I'm adding a new tag, Feb 2017, and that will be specifically for my Feb 2017 PDF. So I go in and I select the files. So my Feb newsletter, and then I save. Now there's a 15 meg limit. That's pretty big. Okay, let me know once it's done. So if I had a March newsletter, I'd have MAR 2017. Try and keep the tags fairly small and consistent, probably no spaces between them, and avoid using any HTML language. So what I mean by that is in February newsletter, if I had February and March newsletter, don't put an ampersand. So spell it out, February AND March newsletter. Some of the common ones, so just going to pop in here and see custom content. So the ampersand, these characters, some of those can be problematic because being web-based, it can interpret it strangely, and what will happen is that your content won't show on the screen. So now that I've got my content and I've got an appropriate tag, I go back to the club page and I tell my newsletter page to display that tag. So I go open up my newsletters just by clicking on it. And down in the body here, I can put some text here. So please click on a newsletter below. That might be too creative here. You can, and then just make sure you enter so that you've got clear space here. And up the top in select tag, I come in and select my tag. So what I'm saying here is show a little bit of text, then show my PDF. Save that. Now we come back. Just refresh the screen on your member portal. Okay, and now we've got our text. And if we click on our February newsletter, ooh, Normally, what will happen is that it will come up and show the February newsletter. I mustn't have saved it properly, but you get the idea of what's supposed to happen there. It's supposed to open a new page with my PDF. What I would do in that instance is just pop back into the club content, make sure that it has saved. Okay, so I'm happy with that it's saved in there. Check back in the club pages and in the newsletter and just make sure that, yep, I've definitely saved that. Okay. Refresh the screen. Another trick sometimes is actually just to sign out and sign back in, just to totally refresh it. Okay, in my newsletters, I can see my newsletter. Yeah, I've definitely broken something because you can see straight away I'm seeing the tag instead of I'm seeing the February newsletter and the name. So if this happens, put a ticket in and we'll help search it out. Okay, so we've talked about all of the options under here except for one, member rewards. Now I'm not going to go into the member rewards because that's a bit of a different setup. Member rewards is our multi-currency ledger. So that would be if you were posting to, for example, a maybe loyalty, maybe points or something like that. And that's usually a discussion that we would have if you're using our Power Plus Golf product and either on installation or if you're an existing club, probably be having a chat with one of our team about using a multi-currency ledger. And it's the way that we can go in and we can redeem and reward through the multi-currency ledger. So if you've got any questions about that, just log a ticket and we can answer those. Just a couple of other things on here that I haven't gone through. I haven't shown you. So the loyalty ledger at the top. I briefly spoke about it earlier. Loyalty ledger, now if it's coming from Micropower, okay, so you can see here the transactions. We can set that up. If it's coming from a gaming system, we'll need to do a bit of work to get that happening. So if you're wanting the loyalty ledger to show, just let us know. We'll help you out with that. So this Hungry tab here, this is our POS ordering. Now, POS ordering is where you can use either the loyalty points or cash or credit card to make a purchase. And so you might be out on the course or somewhere you want to use your phone, make a booking for a meal, make a booking for the time that you want it available. And if it's loyalty points, they're taken straight off. If it's cash, you go to the register and pay, or you could pay with your credit card. And the buying club again. So that the buying club is where we're having a relationship between different businesses where you can use your points to make purchases outside the business and an arrangement such as that. So that's something that you can talk to your account manager about, and the transfer points is to do with that as well. And sign out, probably don't need to have too much of a chat about that. Okay, so that's our portal. I'm going to open that up now for anyone who has some questions. Just pop that into your chat box. What that also allows me to do is keep a record of the questions in case I need to get back to anybody, or if there's something in there that I need to include as a how-to. Any questions from anyone? Thanks, Kylie. Okay, well, I'll close it off at this point in time if there's no more questions. But if you think of anything, 5 minutes, 5 hours, doesn't matter, let me know. Just log a ticket, and if there's any questions, you can ask us. You can also go to the Self-Help Centre, which I'll just show everyone where that is. Okay, so if you log into the Service Centre, if you don't have a login for the Service Centre, let us know. On the front page, if you scroll down, the Self-Help Centre. Scroll down to Member Portal, and there'll be a recording from today's webinar, just under the webinars. There's some training manuals, introduction, and some how-tos. And as time goes by, these will be added too. Any of the other modules that you use will be in here too.